Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm Ann Alvarez, parent coach, school counselor, and mom of two. Do you struggle with your relationship with your kids because you carry childhood pain? Do you get triggered by your child's behavior, become irrational, and maybe even yell at your children? Maybe you want to be a better parent, but you don't know how. Instead of repeating old patterns, you want to heal your pain, become more aware of your child's needs, feel connected to your kids, and learn the tools to communicate better so you can truly enjoy your parenting. If you are ready to heal your childhood pain, raise healthy, connected, and happy kids, and end the cycle of parenting with pain, then join me. Our kids deserve it, and we can do this. Let's go. Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm so excited today because I have a special guest. Her name is Jo Whitton. She is the mom to a preteen and the stepmom to teenagers, a parent coach, and the founder of the UK-based Invisible Thread. Welcome, Jo.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for that introduction. So pleased to be here. And I
Great.
will add something to that, Anne, if I can.
Absolutely.
So, as well as being a parent coach here in England, in Devon, and meeting with parents face to face, I'm also a partner coach with Great Parenting Simplified, which is an international not-for-profit organization supporting parents.
Amazing. All right. So I have a question for you. I know we've talked about this before off air, but what do you think is bullying? That's
Yes,
something
this is
that's
what we're going
really
to talk
concerning.
about today.
Yeah.
Epidemic that we're experiencing, right?
Mm.
And what is it? Let's start there. The
Yes.
what and the whys. We use the word bullying, and I use that interchangeably with hyper controlling. All right, as a behavior in general. So I actually think hyper controlling behaviors, bullying behaviors, they're a pattern of different types of behaviors that you might see in your child. In the home, that might appear as bossiness, being very bossy with their siblings, trying to control their parents. And then at school, you might actually see that not only with other children, them putting trying to control that their peers around them at school, but even their teachers. In when I talk about control, I mean things like social exclusion, trying to exclude others, trying to take control of the way play might go, depending on their age. It can be teasing behaviors, rudeness, insults, and of course, it can lead to physical harm.
And then in your opinion, is that a repeated behavior? Because that's one of the things that I think maybe confuses parents, because maybe there was a one-time thing that happened and then they they term it as bullying. But in your mind,
Yeah,
is it
sure.
repeated?
Yeah. We're talking about repeated longer term patterns of behavior. Obviously, if you're seeing this type of behavior for the first time, it should be seen as a warning sign and as an alarm bell that perhaps something's not right, and we'll come on to that. But yeah, in general, it's about that pattern.
Okay, and why do you think that children behave this way? Do you have is there a theory behind
Uh, There is, I mean, in child developmental psychology, there's theories that are rooted in this, being that this is a behavior that is, or these behaviors are kind of giving you a picture that your child is overwhelmed and anxious. And there's many different reasons why they might be like that.
okay,
And
I think
we'll come
that's
on to that. But
yeah, I think that's so good to know that because we see the outside, right?
yeah,
Behavior. but we don't try to figure out what's the inside, what's going on with the child inside. So I think that's
Mm.
super, super helpful to know that they're feeling overwhelmed or
Mm.
anxious. Okay,
Yeah, and I
so
mean, I'll give parents credit here as well. I mean, obviously, my clients absolutely are seeking support because they want to identify why these behaviors are happening. But
yes,
certainly in the school environment, it's not always looked at that the iceberg model, right? It's not always looked
yes,
at underneath there.
absolutely. Okay, so how do we help our children with hyper controlling behavior?
How do we? I've got so many things I could say, and
What?
I think I'd like to start with it's just asking parents if they're in this situation to slow down in their response to this and try to remove the urgency that can lead them to get angry, want to fix straight away, want to punish, but to just slow the response down, find a way for them to keep themselves calm, their nervous system's calm, because to approach this, they need to be able to approach their child from a calm place.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to mention that as a starter.
Yeah, because if the parent is anxious themselves, or if they react with anger or with punishment, it makes it worse, right? We're we're
Well,
we're
if
we're
we, yeah,
feeding that dysregulation.
yeah, yeah. If,
Yeah.
like we said, that we've got a picture of overwhelm and anxiety. So if we bring anger and shame and punishment into the mix, what are we going to do? We're going to increase that.
Hmm.
So then we just carry on this in this cycle, and the child, and it's not helping the child, and you're not seeing a change.
Exactly. Okay, so
Yeah.
the first thing is us as parents, we have to just calm ourselves down, make sure that we are responding and not reacting. And we are not being punitive. We're not being shaming, punitive, aggressive, showing anger. We're going to be like very Zen-like, right? Very, very calm and peaceful.
Well, we're going to try. We're going to
Yeah.
try. And, if we're struggling to get to that in our
Yes.
lives, then that's because there's genuine reasons why our cups are too full. So
Yes.
reaching out for support from someone like yourself, someone like me,
Yes.
getting the school involved, all of those things are going to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So first step is slow everything down. Remove the anger, the punishment, all that. Be calm. Okay. And then what? Then what? How do we respond to our child once we're calm?
So something that I think is really important is that as a parent, we kind of try and separate the behavior from our child, the separate things. And we try and remember when we're speaking to them about this, we try and remember their goodness and remind them of their goodness and their innocence.
I love
In
that.
Yeah,
I
do
love
you
that.
you know what I mean?
It totally speaks to me because I think we forget, like we focus so much on the behavior and we forget this is our child when we love our child, right? So I
Yeah,
think
and their intention is not to be mean. Their intention is not to be angry and hurtful. That's not their intention. They're not acting from a place of choice.
yes,
And I think giving them the message that you know that and reminding them of when they acted differently and they acted in a kind way. Look, there'll
yes,
be lots of examples. You'll be able to find them. This is
yes.
just one aspect of behavior that's happening.
And I think it's so important that we recognize that how we respond to our children is creating an internal dialogue about themselves. So we
It
have
is.
to be really mindful of how we're responding. So if we're responding like with the shame, with the punishment, then they're internalizing that they're bad, right? But if we're responding, like you said, reminding them, you're good. No, you've made good choices before. No, you've been calm before. You handled this situation calmly. And we show them that they have the ability inside of them to handle this, or that they're not bad, you know? I think that's so, so important.
Yeah, yeah. And you can
Yeah,
even go further and give examples of how you don't always make the best choices if you're feeling pushed or you're struggling with something. It's part of being human, and try and
exactly.
humanize it. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and that we don't have to be perfect.
No, we're
We
not looking
we
for perfection.
yeah, because we sometimes we lose our cool too.
Mm,
And our kids need to know that this, like you said, this is part of being a human being. And we
mm,
can be forgiving and loving of each other still when we're
mm.
acting our worst.
Yeah.
Right?
At the same time as acknowledging that this isn't behavior that we want them to take part in, and that we
Yes.
know that they don't feel good doing it, and we
Yes.
want to
Yes.
help them, that we
Yes.
know that it's because they're struggling, that they've fallen into this situation, and we're here to
Yes.
help them because we know it can't feel good.
Okay. So I love all of the work with the parent part about just like being calm, remembering that these are our children and the behavior is separate from them and our love for them. I love that. So then how do we respond? How do we respond to our child who is having a temper tantrum or bullying their sibling, having these hyper controlling behaviors?
Mm. I mean, for the most part, Anne, I'm going to keep coming back to the parents.
Okay.
I
Because
am.
that's where our work
And
is.
that's
Okay.
where our work is. But there's things that the school can do, and there's things that the child can do for sure. But the first thing I'd say is I go back to what I talked about. This child is experiencing a spillage in terms of their cup being full. They're experiencing a spillage. And I like that analogy because it means that there's something you can do about it. So they're overwhelmed, they're worried, we call it anxiety, worry, what have you. Those things are weighing on them and causing them to behave in this way. So we look at that. What we do is we work with the family to look at that cup.
Mm.
Perhaps we put a little tap on the bottom of it, and we look at what we can do to let out some of that water.
Mhm. Okay.
And slowly drain it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
So, yeah, go ahead.
and I have to say that this does involve a bit of a analysis of home life, of base camp, of
Okay.
what might be going, what might be tipping them over. And
So,
that
like,
could be different for every child, but it's likely to be a mix of too much going into that cup. And that could be too much stimulation, too much screen time, too much information that's overwhelming them, or age inappropriate stuff to do with what's going on in the world, for example, or through movies that they're watching.
mhm.
Or it could be that there's too much activity and too many transitions, perhaps too many after school clubs, play dates, not enough time at home being with the parents.
Yes.
The list goes on as to what could be filling the cup, and I would work with a family to slowly look at those things,
Okay.
because I'm talking about a cumulative load of stress. I've got some notes here and I just want to go back to it a minute.
So we as parents, we have to
Yes.
be aware, right? This is the awareness part of
Exactly.
figuring out the why our child is behaving this way, the hyper
Yeah.
controlling behavior,
Yeah.
right? And so it's
I
looking
mean,
at
it can be
everything.
as simple as the pace of their life. It can be too much, those examples I just gave. But of course, it could be more than that. There may have been a traumatic event. There
Yes.
may be a number of things, adverse childhood events, we call them,
Mhm.
that are going on for them. Their parents may be struggling. They may be divorce, separation. They may have lost a loved one. They may have lost a pet. They may suddenly have to live in two different houses and have forced separation from the parent that they feel so attached to. Like, do you see what I mean? Like this,
Yes.
it's different for every family. And that's why looking at the cup with the family really helps.
Yes. And would you say like children behave this way also because they don't feel that they have control, like in their
Yes.
lives?
Yeah.
Because if you're an over controlling parent, or you don't get input from your child about things. This is what I've experienced as a school counselor. When children don't get input on big decisions in their lives, then that comes out in their behavior.
Yeah, because they may not be able to name it as that themselves. They may not have that self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That, oh, hang on a minute, I don't get any control in all of this.
Yes, because a lot of times our parents make decisions, but they don't get input from their child. And like part of my counseling role is I help parents to see that the reason the child is behaving this way is because you didn't give them a choice. You didn't say, okay, you can stay at this school, but we will have to commute, but we are moving. Um, or you can go to the new school where we're located. What do you think would work? And I just feel like because you want, especially with teenagers, you want to have buy-in from them. And if you just make decisions without their input, then they feel like they have no control. And then what ends up happening is they don't go to school. They end up not going to school, right? Because they had no control, or they didn't want that decision and nobody asked them for their input, right?
Mm.
So that's where I feel like we have to look at too. Are we controlling and not considering our children's thoughts and feelings about big things, the big events in their lives?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving choice, even in a separation situation, like how
Yeah,
many days,
you have to have
right?
a voice. Yeah.
Like how many days do you want to stay with dad? How many days do you want to stay with mom? What do you want the schedule to look like? Like these are the things we need to give our children some control because their lives are pulled apart, right? Their home lives have changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Wherever. Absolutely. I mean, this links in to the importance for me as well, the importance for families to have a rhythm and routine as well. It doesn't have to be set in stone. Life's not like that. But it links because by having rhythm and routine, a child does have more of a sense of control, more of a sense of safety and security. And they,
Absolutely.
yes, involve them sometimes in, do you want to do this or that? And
Yes.
give them some choices so that, yeah, you're not the one calling all the shots. But
Yes.
at the same time, you are, as the parent, you are the leader and you're kind of in a leadership role.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I am all for parent leadership. I'm just not for parent controlling.
Yeah.
Because our children need to feel empowered. And when we give them opportunity to make decisions, then we're building them up with self-esteem, and they can feel good about, oh, I get to have some input, in the family,
Yeah.
So that's really good. But yeah,
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, right. Okay, so base camp, we have to look at base camp, and we have to be aware as parents what could be causing this hyper controlling behavior. And I love that you're using the word hyper controlling behavior instead of bullying, because I just think there's a lot of stigma with bullying. But this hyper controlling behavior is more neutral and not so shaming,
A little bit more neutral, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do really, really like that. And I like that you encompassed like all of the ways it can present itself, because there's many, many ways. It's not just about hitting or name calling. You touched on social isolation. I see that in high school, the social
Oh,
isolation.
yeah, you do.
And
Yeah,
people sometimes don't think of that as bullying, but that actually is bullying, right? That is a hyper controlling behavior.
it
Um,
is. Yeah.
yeah. And then just yeah, so there's so many ways. Okay, so just a recap of the four things that you brought up that I think are so important. Slow everything down because your child is hyper controlling, hyper, right?
Mhm.
Got energy, this energy that needs to be calmed down. And as a parent, you got to be calm
Mm.
to be able to handle it effectively. And
Mhm.
then we have to just remember that they're our child and that we love them and we separate the behavior from the child, right? Because they are not just that behavior, right? And there
Yeah.
are times when they are not hyper controlling and they behave well. And we have to remember that and recognize that, right? But they need help in this moment because they're feeling overwhelmed or anxious,
Mhm.
right? So we have to help them with the anxiety and the overwhelm part. And then um, we have to take a look at and be aware of all the factors that could be contributing to this hyper controlling behavior. So we need to, are they stressed out because they don't have a moment of rest because they're
Well,
in
we all
all
need
these activities?
we all need those we all need those pressure valve moments
Yes.
every day.
Yeah.
And
So
if they're not getting that, then that's instantly something that you can make some changes to.
and would
I
you
I
get
mean, I work
go
with
ahead.
parents to look at how they can reduce the amount of stuff in that cup, that reduce that overload. But I also look at what they can increase doing proactively to help the child feel more safe and secure and connected to them. And
Right.
maybe I think a lot of that is relevant to part two, when we talk about how to support a child might be on the receiving end of these behaviors. So we
Yes.
can touch on more of that then.
Okay.
I would love if we have time to mention um, things that you can do with the school, try and get the school to get involved and support, because obviously they're spending a lot of time at school.
Yes.
Some of these
Yes.
behaviors are happening at school.
Yes. Okay. So yes, please share. What
Yeah.
what what can we do?
Great. Well, in a nutshell, you definitely want to talk to the school about behavioral strategies that they put in place that's going to help your child. So not punishments, proactive things that they can do,
Okay.
including seeing how they can have a little bit more control over their days. What we want for these children is to give them a sense of mastery over something, for them to feel successful and good at something more often. They may
Yes.
well not be getting that feeling.
Yes.
Now, depending on the temperament of your child, there'll be different things that will really help them. And
Mhm.
I can give some examples, but some children actually need every day, like a daily dose of physical work, a little daily dose of heavy, challenging work for their bodies. Other
Mhm.
children, they might benefit more from more body movement and
Mhm.
dance and things like that.
Mhm.
So there's just a few ideas there. But again, I could
Yes.
talk about it for ages.
Yes, that's the body mind connection, right? And
Yes.
getting the endorphins going, and it helps just to calm everything down. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
If you have a child that's hitting or throwing things as part of their behaviors at school,
Yes.
is there an opportunity for them to do that safely anywhere? There's
Yes.
energy that needs to get out of their body through their arms or through their legs.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
thinking outside the box about the child's needs.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love those strategies. Okay, Joe, tell parents where they can find you and how they work with you.
Absolutely. Yes, you can find me on Instagram at
Okay.
Invisible Thread PC or
Okay.
Facebook. Okay. My
Okay.
email is joe@invisiblethreadpc.com.
Perfect.
All
Okay, so
right.
I will include your links with the show notes. So parents,
Please do.
yeah, you can take a look at Joe's work and you can reach out to her as well. We are here for parents, both of us. So thank you so
And
much,
there
Joe.
is a link in there, and there's a link in there to a free mini video series from Great Parenting Simplified about how to use the stress as a parent to help you parent in a better way.
I
So check
love
that one out.
that. I love
Yeah.
that so much. Thank you so much, Joe. I learned so much myself. So I
Well,
really
that's
appreciate it.
fantastic.
Yes,
That's what we
yes,
want.
yes. I love the remove the behavior from the child. I love that. That's so good. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. I look forward to our next episode together. We will do a part two, parents.
Yeah.
So please stay tuned for the part two. And I thank you, Joe, so much for coming today. I think parents, this is going to be very helpful for you. And I appreciate your time. And I just want to say, parents, we've learned a couple things like slow everything down, separate the behavior from your child, and take a look at base camp. These are all the tips that Joe gave us. They are so helpful. So stay tuned for next time, parents. You know I love you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
If this podcast inspired, blessed, or changed you in any way, I would love for you to share this with your family and friends on your Instagram page and tag me at Masterful Parenting. And join my Masterful Parenting Facebook page or DM me for more parenting support. And I will meet you here real soon. Remember, be relational with your kids and you will see a change. Love to all you parents out there. Let's change the world one parent at a time.